people who have bought gold and silver are going to be, they're going to look
Milan.
like villains.
Yeah.
It's going to be blamed on them. And I would say anybody who bought gold or silver over the last 5, 10, 20 years or longer even, they did so to protect themselves and to protect their families.
Yeah.
The problem is the math is so bad, and the math now is so obvious that you've got more and more and more investors worldwide that are coming to the same conclusion, coming to the same answer, and collectively they're creating a supply and demand deficit. The demand is increasing. Supply, mine supply is not increasing any longer. There's not been any major discoveries or finds in the last, since 2011, 12, 13, so over 10 years. Americans have lived far beyond their means for 50, 60 years. Go back to, till right after World War II. America has lived beyond its means. It had basically an unlimited credit card with no limit, and we've lived off of that. Now, the reverse of that, not only do we have to come back to living within our means, but to pay back the previous overliving, overstandard, whatever you want to call it, we've got to live below our means. So the standard of living in the U.S. is going to, and I'm not picking on the U.S., but it's because the standard of living is more outsized compared to our means than other nations. So our standard of living is going to drop further than anyone worldwide.
Yeah.
But don't make the mistake that the entire world is going to have a standard of living that drops.
Because
paper is going to blow up. The naked king moment is going to happen. And when people, the little boy points and says, hey, the king's naked, doesn't have any clothes, everybody worldwide is going to be looking at currencies and say, hey, wait a minute, I've got this or I've got that or I'm selling whatever, but I'm not taking that paper. That paper is worthless. And when I say paper, I'm talking about currencies all over the world. The fiat experiment has and is failing.
As global debt soars and confidence in paper money wanes, we approach a financial reckoning. The world is waking up to a painful truth. Fiat currencies, untethered from real value, are failing. A naked emperor moment is approaching when people collectively reject worthless money. Currencies like the dollar, euro, and yen could face rejection not from governments, but from the people and markets themselves. And in the ensuing chaos, a digital solution, Central Bank Digital Currencies, CBDCs, will be pitched as salvation. But don't be fooled. These tokens will rise from the ashes of collapse ushered in during panic, not prosperity.
I've maintained that during good times, or quote, perceived good times, they won't be able to bring a central bank digital currency anywhere or worldwide. They have to do it during massive stress. So they will allow these markets to collapse. The great taking will take hold. People are going to lose. They're going to lose their assets.
Yeah.
Whether it be a bank, a broker, insurance company, whatever. And at that point is when they will try to introduce the CBDCs, because the public will be begging for help.
Yeah,
so I think that's 100%. The next move is CBDCs before we get into really crazy stuff. Capitalism was the root of all evil, blah, blah, blah. We got to have socialism.
When assets are wiped out through failed banks, insolvent brokers, or bankrupt insurers, the public will demand rescue. That's when CBDCs will be introduced, sold as a lifeline. But there's a catch. Those who held gold and silver, who saw this crisis coming, will be vilified. Instead of being seen as prudent, they'll be painted as hoarders or enemies of the financial system. Already, headlines in Europe warn of a gold bubble threatening the financial sector. It's narrative warfare. The system isn't collapsing because of metals, but because of systemic monetary malpractice. Yet truth will be twisted to protect the institutions in charge.
People who have bought gold and silver are going to be, they're going to look like villains. It's going to be blamed on them. And I would say anybody who bought gold or silver over the last 5, 10, 20 years or longer even, they did so to protect themselves and to protect their families.
Yep.
The problem is the math is so bad, and the math now is so obvious that you've got more and more and more investors worldwide that are coming to the same conclusion, coming to the same answer, and collectively they're creating a supply and demand deficit. The demand is increasing. Mine supply is not increasing any longer. There's not been any major discoveries or finds in the last, since 2011, 12, 13, so over 10 years.
This next phase isn't just economic, it's ideological. Gold and silver holders represent a challenge to the new order. Self-reliance is subversive when governments want full control. The push toward a technocratic CBDC-based society resembles digital feudalism, where elites control and monitor every transaction. Those who sidestep this by holding tangible assets become inconvenient. They're proof that alternatives exist. Expect the propaganda to intensify. Gold holders will be blamed for destabilizing the economy, just as surveillance expands. But remember, these individuals didn't coordinate a takedown. They acted individually, recognizing that the math of a debt-based fiat system doesn't work.
So the buyers or the holders of gold are going to be villainized. They will be called victims, or not victims, villains.
Perpetrators, and government is the victim of them creating a bubble. I'll just interject before handing straight back to you, Bill. There's already been a headline in Europe that the gold boom could be a threat to the gold bubble. Sorry, they used the word bubble. Gold bubble poses threat to financial system. You see the framing there. European headline, by the way. I think it was the EU.
For what reason?
Of course not. You and I both know that's the reverse framing. But I'm just telling you, there's an exercise that's already giving you a microcosm of how they are going to say, you get rock, guys. Chase the market up so much you crashed a very good system here because you created shortfalls, and because of legacy ties, it broke our system. There's going to be no acknowledgement. There's going to be no Truth and Reconciliation Commission about the pursuit of unsound monetary principles. There's going to be a lot of attack on people that survive, and they need everybody down in serfdom if they want to bring a CBDC, UBI, basically Bolshevik communistic system with technological overreach. And anybody who has become self-reliant is actually a problem because he's showing the other citizens a better way. And that's an issue when you're trying to create the supremacist class, the ruling class, and everybody else. That's our take. I don't know how you would end that.
But it was not done collectively.
For decades, gold has acted as a financial thermometer, gauging confidence in fiat systems. A low gold price signals belief in the dollar. A skyrocketing price? That's panic. Governments have tried to suppress gold's price since at least 1996, breaking the thermometer so the fever doesn't show. But you can only distort reality for so long. If gold hits 10,000 or 50,000, it's not a speculative frenzy. It's a global rejection of paper money. The U.S. Treasury's metaphorical credit card will be cut up, and faith in fiat will vanish. The system isn't just malfunctioning, it's being exposed for what it truly is.
This was not a plan by gold buyers.
No.
This was a bunch of people that wanted to protect themselves, protect their families.
Yeah.
And when you add all those buyers, all those people that made a decision that the math does not work in a fractional reserve system that has no backing to the currency, people made those individual decisions, and when you add them together collectively, yeah, it is a problem because, as I said, I think very early on, a low gold price shows confidence and a high gold price shows a lack of confidence. And if you got gold going to the moon, it's a thermometer. No matter how hard they've tried to break that thermometer since, well, really before this, but since 1996, they have tried to break the thermometer and have it give the world a false reading. And that false reading, they did that in order for confidence to remain and the U.S. Treasury's credit card remain open. But $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 gold, that credit card gets canceled. You're describing the results of inflation. Inflation, look in a dictionary. Inflation is not prices going up. Deflation is not prices going down. It is a monetary event. And because sovereign treasuries, and obviously use the U.S. Treasury market, the more the government borrows, the bigger the deficit gets. That's more money in the system. That's more money chasing the same amount of goods. That's your definition of inflation, is the supply or lack of supply of
money. No, I 100% agree on that. I'm just talking about the inflationary measures that the consumer comes across are not even honest in their own mechanism. You and I know the increase in money or overspending governments and issuance of debt are inherently inflation.
Silver, too, is in crisis. The world needs 1.3 billion ounces annually for industry, technology, military, and jewelry, but mining only produces around 850 million ounces. That leaves a 450 million ounce shortfall each year. Above-ground reserves are dwindling, especially after the 2 billion ounce release from the Manhattan Project dried up decades ago. This isn't theoretical anymore. We're approaching a failure to deliver moment. There simply isn't enough silver to meet physical demand. Like a game of musical chairs, not everyone will find a seat. The snail crossing the brick has reached the end. The numbers don't lie. The final phase is upon us.
What you're saying is we are bullshitted 24/7.
Yeah.
Regarding finance. Well, regarding all kinds of things, but
yeah, I agree with that. So, given that, tell us, I mean, let's just take a step back to the silver, because we drilled down on that very first question, or very much on the first half. Let's try understand the numbers on, because many people are going, you guys, you prattle on YouTube. You have been saying this for so many years. You know, it's kind of the snail that crosses half a brick and then it crosses half what it did the day before. It's almost like that day never comes where it finishes crossing the brick. And I'm saying the snail's at the end of the brick. This is it. Go over the numbers again mathematically. What is, if you wanted a simple maths, and we talk a lot about simple maths, you mentioned the phrase here yourself. What is needed annually for silver productive use, like solar panels and all of that? What's typically taken by jewelry, and what is currently above land, and what is production? Let's just do the simple maths.
Yeah, the demand right now is globally is roughly 1.3 billion ounces. When you add in all the medicinal uses, technological, military, don't forget military. I mean, each tomahawk has over a monster box in it.
Yeah.
So if you add all that together, you're about 1.3 billion. If you look at global supply, it's about 850 million ounces. So you're talking about literally 450 million ounces, which is about 50% of what production is. Now, as far as above ground supply, those numbers are very, very difficult to discern, but we do know that all of the big supplies, for instance, the biggest one back in the 90s, early 2000s, was the unwinding of the Manhattan Project. That was about 2 billion ounces that slowly flowed into the market and kept supply available and pricing under wraps. I don't know of any huge above ground hordes that can meet this. I mean, I think we're running head first into a failure to deliver, because there's just simply, in a game of musical chairs, there's simply not enough chairs.